22 years ago, this day, 9 security personnel were killed because there was a terror attack that happened in the Parliament complex. Post that, there was multiple security precautions that were taken. But another security breach has happened. Vasudha and I are joining you to explain what happened, what is there in place as far as security is concerned, how journalists actually cross multiple layers of security, which is by multiple agencies, Delhi Police, Delhi Fire Services, CRPF, CISF, all are present, which is under the larger umbrella of Parliament Security Services. The incident happened, Vasudha, at 1 p.m. when the 0 hour was happening inside Parliament. In all, 100 MPs were present.
Yes, and BJP MP Khadgen Murmu from Purulia was speaking. He's been, I mean, I remember talking to him earlier, and he was part of the CPM earlier. So he would talk to me a lot about Naxal activities and all that. And it was quite sort of unique when this thing happened because clearly it's very worrying. Maria, I have been covering the Parliament the last 2 weeks, and while it's very heartening to see so many visitors come and see the Parliament and enjoy a sense of ownership, what happened today is very concerning because the way these people carried those canisters inside. I'm not allowed to carry my muscle spray inside, for that matter, deodorants, and
Yes.
these guys could carry those metal canisters. So serious security breaches happened. Thankfully, nobody has been hurt, but
Yes.
We had over 100 public representatives there. So clearly, the government will have to, sort of review the whole security thing. And I think, yes, a lot of thought has to be put into, something has gone wrong somewhere. Like you said.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, what has happened is just before 1 p.m., there was a security breach which happened outside Parliament near Transport Bhavan, because journalists and most visitors take that route now to enter to go to the reception area through which we enter the new Parliament building,
Yes,
Vasudha.
yes.
And thereafter, what we see is that there are multiple security checks that happen, separate entrance completely of the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, and then the person enters. The question is, when there was a security breach which happened outside, same canister was used, and same yellow smoke came out. 2 people arrested outside, 2 arrested after what played out inside, but a very coordinated attack.
Absolutely. And so this Transport Bhavan Gol Chakkar is what it is called. And that is where, journalists actually, we that's where we sit. But, you see a lot of people hanging around there. Many of them are very curious and interested to know how this new parliament has come up. And I've seen a lot of people come and ask me, what is the way to get into this parliament? I want to see this. So there's been a lot of curiosity that this new parliament complex is also generated. That's a little, that's a round little lawn. And that's where people actually come and hang out. But of course, that is also the entry to the reception. There is one reception. There's another one which allows authorized people to get inside. But, there have been many crowds since the past 1 week. The first 1 week was slightly, I think, not so much crowded, but in the last 1 week, it's also, the Lok Sabha elections are just about 6 months away. So a lot of MPs are also getting many of the people from their own constituencies to get a tour of the parliament, because this is something that will make people also very proud of what their MPs have done, or what is this capital all about. So I think that was also happening. But what has happened today is I think 3 questions. One is basically, what were these security agencies? Like you mentioned, many of them. There's a Delhi police station inside there. There's CRPF people there. There are CISF. All these people are there. So what really went wrong? What kind of intelligence failure are we looking at? And the third most important thing is, how did these canisters get inside? Because these are also metal canisters, and like I said, like you can't even carry little things which are completely harmless, but still there's a lot of check. And 6 layered security for a journalist, for an authorized journalist with a pass, and more than 9 layers of security for an
Yes.
ordinary visitor.
Yes, and when journalists are issued pass after clearance that comes from the Home Ministry,
Yes.
and that is when they have visited our homes, done the check that whether the address that is given on Aadhaar is correct, whether the organization accepts us as employees. So all that checks are done, and then only an authorized pass is issued to a journalist.
Yes.
For an ordinary visitor, again, an MP is expected to write on his letterhead that these are visitors coming to just move around the parliament and perhaps see the new parliament building. So lot more explanation will be sought from the MP who actually issued passes for these two men who entered the visitors gallery.
Of course, and Maria, there are like six dwars there, right?
Yes.
And two of them are designated for VVIPs. So, and there's one dwar, that's one gate that's entirely segregated for MPs entries and exit, and there's one for the PM. So, and there's one for visitors. So clearly, a lot of thought really went into
Yes, planning.
yeah,
Planning this.
and,
Yes.
and today, incidentally, is also the 22nd anniversary.
And how
of,
unfortunate.
Yes,
Yes,
yes, And
yes.
in the morning, we were all talking about those tributes that were
Yes.
paid, and there was one security personnel whose story I remember, Kamlesh Kumari, the
Yeah,
first
Kamlesh.
one to spot the militants, and and she of course lost her life in that. And yesterday there were just so many school students who had come to tour the parliament, and my heart goes out for these kids. Imagine something like this happening. There's this also a sense of fear in school students, children, families of people who are visiting the parliament. So clearly, I think a lot
A
more.
lot more explanations have to be given now.
Reassurances have to be given.
Yes, but I think, Vasudha, as we have been discussing, I mean, a review will be done, of course, as the Lok Sabha speaker said, but the timing becomes interesting and very, very, deeply troubling, one would say. That it has happened today, 13th, when early morning Prime Minister, all the MPs were present for paying tributes to all those who lost their lives, the 9 security personnel who did, in order to ensure that the parliament is protected. Parliament security complex has undergone multiple changes, and Vasudha, was inside parliament only yesterday, meeting her sources and others. So, Vasudha, let's begin with the entry from Transport Bhavan. Transport Bhavan, you enter at the reception. There is a scanner. What all happens?
So basically, Maria, the Transport Bhavan Golchakkar is there. I enter. So there are two receptions. One is an ordinary reception for people who have to go through this entire drill of getting a pass done, and they would have already gotten calls and all that. There is one for authorized people to enter. I enter through the authorized reception.
But before that, there is a
No, I mean,
check.
yes, this is of course, a
scanner?
and the scanner basically, like, I was asked not to carry my muscle spray yesterday, and I was like, no, I'm not well, and I need this, but then they said nothing doing, you can't carry this, so I had to sort of like,
And you're not allowed to carry your headphones, or we are allowed as journalists?
we are allowed as journalists, but you have to
Charger?
Yes,
Allowed only as journalists,
Only
but
allowed,
not as
for
visitors. So as visitors, you're not allowed to even carry your phones.
Yes. And while I come to that, in the gallery, you're not even allowed to have like a flask of water.
Yes.
Like no garam
No
pani
garam
allowed,
pani
because it's heavy. For them to carry canisters is
Yes.
quite baffling to me. So as soon as I enter this reception, the scanning takes place. Then there's an entire frisking that happens. After that, I walk, and then I have a designated entry, which is Garudwar, because I cover the Lok Sabha. So again, there is a scanner that I have to, that my belongings have, I have to put my bag through, then I get frisked again, and then again, one more layer.
One more
layer. So there are like 3 layers with the checking of, my bag, and of course myself.
Yeah. So scanning is done through on the individual, and also the bag that you may be carrying.
Absolutely.
So
this is just to enter the parliament. So when you go to the gallery,
yes,
that is
another
story
three
altogether,
layers. Yes, so because you're entering the house.
Yes, I enter the house, and then I go to the first floor, which is where the gallery is. And there are people who will again frisk you, who will again scan your bag. They'll take your phone. So even journalists are not allowed to carry their phones inside the gallery.
Yes, inside the gallery. That's not allowed.
And like I said, I had to, I couldn't carry my.
So what is being said by the security, which was the watch and ward staff, which were present inside the Lok Sabha, is that what they found on these two individuals was a pass which was allegedly issued by the office of BJP MP Pratap Simha, and the canisters were inside their shoes. So the question is that, did the scanner miss the shoe part? So miss the metal and perhaps the shoe, which is now allowed in the airports. Now airport checking is actually removing your shoes also.
Absolutely, yes. But even in the parliament, they've often asked other people I've seen to. They're very strict with visitors. Journalists, they're still okay, because remember that we get a pass only when you have a PIB card.
You have a PIB card. Yes.
Already, for that you have to go through several layers of security, and people come to your place to see if that is the address that you live in. So all of that happens. With visitors, it's even more brutal, I've seen, because they check every part of your bag and they say isko nikalo, usko nikalo. So it's just quite appalling as to how could they carry these canisters inside their socks, which is quite.
Yes, so it's a story which is still developing. What is the motive? We do not know. As far as details of those, who in can this be seen as an attack on Parliament?
No, because I think they just wanted to send out a message of protest. It just exposes how weak a security system is. I think,
But Parliament has security has been breached.
security has been
So,
breached.
so in this security breach, a scare certainly. Um, there are two groups that are involved. It's a coordinated one. But what is the motive? We do not know. Who these individuals are, we do not know. There are four in all. Perhaps they have more handlers. There are more groups which were working in a coordinated manner. Because when one failed outside, another one happened in matter of 2 minutes. So how were those inside told to instantly carry out that incident? We do not know. So there are a lot of unanswered questions. But what had changed is clear that after that attack on Parliament in 2001, Vasudha, there was a security mechanism put in place that seemed to have failed.
Yes, absolutely. Because remember, the Prime Minister has spoken about this attack on the Parliament in many times. Many of his speeches have talked about how the failures of UPA government goes beyond just alleged corruption, but also this attack on public representatives. Remember, on that fateful day, we also had LK Advani and many other leaders inside the Parliament. Today, similarly, 100 people. And today was not Friday. It's not one of those days where
Yes.
MPs
Yes,
have gone
it's
back to the
private members bill.
constituencies. Yes.
We have another colleague of ours who covers Parliament with us. Akhilesh ji is joining us as well. So, Akhilesh ji, it's unimaginable what we are seeing today.
Well, in the past, we have seen this kind of security breaches where in the visitor gallery, people, come and they shout slogans. They try to throw some pamphlets inside the house. But I think for the first
And there
time,
was that pepper spray also, an MP
that
carrying
happened.
it.
That happened during
Yeah.
the Andhra Pradesh
Yes, the reorganization
bill.
bill, yes.
That time, the one MP had got that pepper
Yes.
spray, and he was caught. But not.
Lakadpati Rajgopal.
Yes, that's right.
Lakadpati Rajgopal, yes.
But I think this is for the first time I've seen that somebody actually jumping into the
Inside,
house,
yeah.
and then he's holding that spray, color spray, and doing that. And there were MPs who tried to catch hold of him,
Yeah.
and that could have been led to some unprecedented and unpleasant scene.
And what is the gap? Because I've not been inside the new Parliament building. Gap between the visitor gallery and the
Quite, I mean,
High.
yeah, it's quite high.
I think it's
The
around
ceiling?
must be around 12 feet, but it's shorter than the older Parliament building. That height was much more than this. This is lower than that.
Okay, this is
So maybe this is easier for them to jump. But what happens? They take precautions. The first bench in the visitors gallery is always kept empty, and then there are security personnel. They are sitting there and they are keeping a close watch. They are not sitting like this. They are sitting like this. So they're keeping an eye on all the visitors who are sitting there. So I don't know what happened in this case, but yes, this has happened, and I think it's a synchronized protest where two persons were inside the visitors gallery and two were outside the Parliament building.
Yes.
So this was a synchronized attack. We do not know the details so far. What was their motive? What was their agenda? What were they trying to say?
But Agilaji, let's break it down for our viewers as to how do you move inside Parliament and what changed from 2001 to now. Those are एक के बाद क्या क्या बदला था.
Yes, a lot of new security arrangements have taken place. I mean, completely after 2001 Parliament attack, even in the older building, there were a lot of high gadgets, security
High
arrangements
gadgets,
were
yes.
installed there for the vehicle entry, for the visitors entry, and you have to have that kind of passes. You have to have that kind of chip-based passes. You have to have that one. But here in the new building, it's more sophisticated than the earlier one because you have the face recognition software. You
Face
have
rec-
facial
facial
recognition software
recognition as well,
that
yes.
actually reads your face and then allows you entry. But it's not activated. It's not active right now. It's only for the MPs, ministers, and officials, not for the visitors or for the media. So they have to come via the visitor gate, and then their passes are checked by the security staff, and then they're allowed. There's a thorough screening. Complete body check, but I don't know how come they bought this.
So
color
the
spray.
purpose certainly is maximum imagery.
Yeah.
Because if it was about attack per se, a terror attack, then the actions may have been different.
I
Here
think
it is about
the optics of exposing
They,
something.
they knew that it was not something like terror. Their intention was not to create terror, but there was some protest or some message they want to convey.
And they wanted to get some attention.
To some attention.
Yes, and the Prime Minister was not inside the house because he is in Raipur for the
Yes.
oath-taking
The
ceremony.
Home Minister was
The
not
Home
there.
Minister was not there. BJP
BJP
President was not
But I
there.
think Rahul Gandhi was inside.
Rahul
No,
Gandhi
there
was
are
inside.
pictures of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So there were 100 MPs in all who were present
And
during
some
zero
MPs
hour.
actually tried to
Oh,
stop
Yeah,
them.
that was 7 of them actually, more than the marshals. It's the MPs
Yeah.
trying to overpower them. So
Yes, but overall, how will you describe today?
I think it's a very serious issue. It's a very serious breach of security of Parliament, especially the new building, which has been, advertised that it's a foolproof security system they've installed. But of course, it is not in effect 100%. So it is very clear that you need to have more security, and especially on a day when we are having today 22nd anniversary of the Parliament attack.
Yes.
It is really a serious matter.
Vasudha, your final
But
thoughts?
I would just say that it was very heartening to see a lot of visitors from different parts of the country come to the parliament in the last 1 week. So I would not expect the Lok Sabha Secretariat, Parliamentary Affairs Ministry, or government to take a knee-jerk reaction to this. Yes, of course, security has to be reviewed. This was a serious breach, but I'm thankful that nobody,
Is injured
Is
or-
injured.
yeah,
Yes,
certainly.
So clearly, a lot more has to be done.
Yes,
but
so-
please don't stop the entry of visitors.
Yes,
That's
so
correct.
and tomorrow all three of us will be in Parliament to cover another day in Parliament. Thanks so much for watching.